Hello again, stranger. Johnny here from Mortar and Ivy in the library and with another book review for you. This time, Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. Let's set the scene, shall we? It is the early half of the 16th century, and England is facing a dilemma. King Henry VIII has no male heirs. He wishes to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, now approaching her 40s, and wed the much younger and still very much childbearing Anne Boleyn. His appeal for an annulment, founded on the pretense that Catherine was his brother Arthur's widow, is quite predictably denied by the Roman Catholic Church, which at the time was the only church. The king needs an ally. Enter Thomas Cromwell. Cromwell was Wolsey's protege, and like the former cardinal in many ways, he is staunch, conservative, ambitious, and fairly opportunist. He's not the nicest guy on earth. In fact, some might consider him kind of a bully. But the king's demands humble him, and he finds himself in a fairly unforeseen predicament. Falafel, be careful. History remembers Thomas More as the humanist hero of the English Renaissance, but Hilary Mantel casts More as rather a quasi-antagonist to Thomas Cromwell. It may not be the history you remember learning, but that doesn't mean it's not history, or at least a history. The author won the Man Booker Prize for this 2009 novel, as well as the National Book Critics Circle Award, the Walter Scott Prize, and the Orange Prize, as well as being placed on many bestsellers lists. Broadcaster James Naughtie described the novel as an extraordinary piece of storytelling, to which I demand to know, what horrendous street drugs is he taking and where can I get some? Because that's out there. I discovered the book to be, in lack of a lesser word, boring. There is little to no action or narrative. 90% of the book is conversation. Of that conversation, 90% is gossip. And of that gossip, 90% is boring as hell.
I do say, I heard a certain something about a certain somebody you might wish to know. Care to hear it?
And stuff like that. For hundreds of pages. You may have seen the thumbnail to this video and thought, surely he didn't actually fall asleep. Well, that's where you're wrong, stranger. Because fall asleep, I did. And when I woke up, I spent a full 10 minutes trying to find my place in the book. Why 10 minutes? Because I couldn't tell if the page I was reading was the page that I had read or another page that simply looked familiar because it was so repetitive. Yawn. Trying to find your lost place in this book is like searching for a needle in a stack of blindness. It's not that author Hilary Mantel is a poor writer. In fact, her prose is exquisite and thorough, perhaps too thorough. My copy of the book exceeded 600 pages. Not exactly Holy Bible, Lord of the Rings, Gone with the Wind enormous, but still large enough to crush a small child or large dog. Any other competent writer could have perhaps fit the same amount of substance in less than 300 pages. The book requires a lot of rereading, flipping back a few pages to better understand what in God's grace just happened. Checking Goodreads, that seems to be a common criticism of Mantel's many readers experience. And it doesn't help that nearly every character is named either Thomas, Henry, Mary, George, or Anne. She wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam. Get it? Cause the song. Nope! Let's see, there's Thomas Cromwell, Thomas Cranmer, Thomas More, Thomas Boleyn, Thomas Howard, and Thomas Seymour, and let's oh yes, Thomas Wolsey. Because one thing I learned from this book is that Cardinal was not his first name. But I suppose everybody in 16th century bore those names, just like how in our generation there's abundance of Cadens, Bradens, Jadens, Aidens, and Madisons. Names go in and out of style, just like execution methods. Fun fact, did you know that in 16th century England, beheading was all the rage? One needs a firm understanding of historical events portrayed in the story to properly follow it. It spares you the details. It is a very polarizing novel, but not in the sort of dime a dozen, love it or hate it style like many other books. Judging from online reviews, readers seem to either really love the book immensely or feel some sort of unenthused, indifferent respect. It is a mammoth undertaking on the part of the author and a monumental accomplishment. Very rich, very dense, and not necessarily entertaining to all tastes. Certainly not mine. I am of the latter category. So now that we've discussed the book, let's apply our criteria for judging it. Readability, I would give it out of 5, a solid 2. Very difficult to read. Like I said, very dense, very rich, requires rereading, backtracking, backtracing, and it's really just a tough cookie to nibble. Research, on the other hand, author gets a 5 out of the 5. The events portrayed are solid, intact, and I remember reading online that author Hilary Mantel created this very elaborate card catalog system for tracing all the characters, where they were during the events in the book, what they were doing, how they would have reacted, and how they did react, and etc, etc, etc. For that, she gets top marks. In terms of character development, yes, these are historical characters, but that doesn't mean the author can't take some literary liberty. She gets a 3 out of 5. Many of the characters were very alike, very cookie cutter, cliche, didn't seem to differ that much, especially Wolsey, More, King Henry, and Cromwell himself. They were all kind of jerks and old men, and everybody was gossipy and speaking behind each other's backs, and it was just, there really wasn't very many pleasant characters. The pleasant characters there were, the author killed off. I won't say whom. Spoilers. Plotting, the author gets, again, out of 5, 3. She tended to ramble and, like I said, gossip, and it was very predictable at times, and it wasn't very exciting. It didn't move forward. There was very little flow. It was just talking about stuff that happened 500 years ago. Originality, 4 out of 5, pretty good. This is a very original take on the character of Thomas Cromwell and this time of the 16th century. This isn't Showtime's The Tudors with its sex, profanity, debauchery. Those expecting that will not find it here. That's why it was unexpected in terms of what happened in the book. If only I wish it had occurred in a more entertaining, flowing manner. And as a bonus, the author gets 5 points for having won so many awards and positive critique. Not that I gave it, but she still has earned that. I'll let her have it. So on average, it's about 3.7, but we're gonna round down to a 3.5. 3.5 stars out of 5 for Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. So that's my review of the book. I will probably read the sequel, even though I don't really feel like it, and I'll let you know how that turns out, if it improves from the conditions previously stated, or if it follows in the same carbon copy. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you want me to book review, and anything else along the lines of this topic. I've been Johnny. You're always welcome in my neck of the woods.